Welcome back to OpenLine, everybody. Talking about getting guns off the street, a new program through the Metro Police Department. We have with us two people from the Office of Alternative Policing Strategies, Lieutenant Stephen Bowers and Inspector David Imhof. And I wanted to go over some of the numbers, some of the gun numbers in Nashville over the last 10 years, because it really speaks to what our situation is and why I feel like you all are very focused on getting guns off the street. But what do you see when you look at these numbers?
So when we look at our numbers over the last 10 years, we're clearly trending in the wrong direction when it comes to gunshot victims. Now these numbers include our homicides and our injuries, so it could be a homicide where somebody died from their gunshot wounds, or it could be just a non-lethal shooting. But in the last 10 years, when you look at the numbers from 2010 to 2014, we averaged around 256 people shot per year. The next 5 years, from 15 to 20, we had 395 shot. When we go into the year of 2020 alone by itself, there was over 523 people shot, and then just last year we had over 547 people shot in Davidson County. So we're clearly trending in the wrong direction. And like I said, the gun retrieval program and some of the other programs that we're trying to push out there, we're hoping to drive these numbers down in the opposite direction.
Would population growth account for those numbers? Like, is that in line with how our population's growing, or it's something else?
I mean, I would say population, it's a lot that plays a factor in that, but I would say population, the amount of guns that we just have floating out there on the streets, that's another thing. But there's more than just one thing that plays a factor into something like that.
Wow, okay, let's go to Steve. Hello, Steve.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yes. Are you there?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind? You can go right ahead.
Well, I understand the topic tonight is gun retrieval, but I was just wondering, I'd like to present a question to the panel there about, I wanted to present a question to the panel there about the rise in gun violence here in Nashville. I know that some of it's related to the population growth, and I know that some of it's related to the break-ins in the cars. But what is your guys' opinion on the law that the governor passed, allowing so many people to carry a gun without a permit? And I've even heard they're trying to lower that to the age of 18. It seems counterproductive.
Well, it's quite interesting. So we've gotten more than one call on this. But okay, so here he's talking about permitless carry and this law. And you addressed it earlier, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure there's been any empirical data to be able to show that the permitless carry is contributing to the higher rate of gun violence. If there is, I'm not privy to it. I would say that the population could play a certain role. I agree with Lieutenant Bowers with having more guns on the street. And this phenomenon of breaking into cars, taking guns, has really just been in the last few years. And so we're seeing young people, a lot of times the young people that are involved in these types of crimes maybe have been suffering, some traumatic events in their life. And as we all know, your brains aren't fully formed until you're 25. So now we got guns in the hands of children that really aren't in the position in their life to make really sound decisions, right? So that's really scary. Mm-hmm. So again, with our program, this is one way we're trying to get those guns out of the hands of those children to make sure that bad decisions aren't made. I mean, some kids have guns because they've been bullied, right? Some kids get in trouble taking guns to school because they're being bullied. Other ones, and if we get those guns out of their hands, they're less likely to be a victim of a crime. They're less likely to be involved in a crime. They're less likely to have an accidental discharge and possibly hurt themselves. I think there was a young child just this week, a 3-year-old, that was shot with a gun. A gun was left in somebody's purse and shot. So we're trying to avoid those situations too. So, when we're talking about young people, maturity levels, and trying to make adult decisions, but when they have guns in their hand, it's pretty scary.
And we've had more than one question about what do you think about, this law or that law. Obviously, you all don't create the laws. Mm-hmm. You're just out there dealing with what you're seeing, which is a lot of guns. It's not the legislature creates the laws. So that's obvious. Now, as far as churches, I mean, I'm fascinated. You said pastors are stepping up because they're tired of seeing young people die, and that's what they're seeing. Mm-hmm. And so with guns, I ask you about one pastor's story, and you mentioned the one pastor. You've already gotten 8 guns, and you said you trace them. You're not trying to, charge anybody. Can you tell anything from those guns? Is there any story to tell from those guns yet, or this program's so new that you couldn't say, well, this gun was stolen on this date or went through this route or anything? Is there any story to tell about any of the guns that you've retrieved?
So with the program being anonymous, that part, that would be information that we wouldn't be able to really share. Where those guns were, what they're linked back to, we wouldn't be able to share that information because I would think that would, defeat the purpose of it being anonymous. So that's just information out there. And the guns that we've received in the last week, it takes time to see where those guns were used, if they were used in any other crimes. They still, like all of those guns will still be tested, but it will take time. But that wouldn't be information that we would be able to share with the general public due to it being anonymous.
That makes sense. And what are some of the churches? You mentioned the one church. Let's go through some of the churches where people could actually turn a gun in.
Yes, sir. So the brochure that I talked about earlier, there's 9 churches. On the brochure, we'll start giving these out to as many as people in Nashville. We have ordered over 10,000. There are several in Spanish for our Spanish community, and there's also the ones in English. But on there, it has a lot of information about our office. It also has a QR code. Everybody has a smartphone. So you can scan the QR code. It'll take you to our MNPD webpage, and you'll be able to see some of the goals. You'll be able to see any additional partners that's not on the brochure because obviously in the future there'll be more churches added. Instead of fitting them all on this one brochure, you'll be able to scan that QR code and actually go to see the webpage to see this. On the inside of this brochure here, there's a flow chart. We want everybody to see how the flow chart works. At the top, obviously, it goes through the faith-based pathways. They make the plea to the congregation and the community, so they're helping us push that information and the message out there. The gun is turned in anonymously at that location, locked in that box. Officers are called out to get the weapon, and then it's turned in. The churches, the program partners so far, we have the Bethel Church of Nazarene, located at 455 Broadmoor Drive, Change Ministries Church, 1001 North 5th Street, Greater Heights Missionary Baptist Church at 1600 14th Avenue North, Inner City Ministries at 1000 Apex Street, Madison Church of Christ, 106 Gallatin Pike, and Mount Carmel Missionary Baptist Church at 1032 Monroe Street, New Hope Baptist Church, 610 South New Hope Road, the Rock United Ministries at 2422 Alameda Street, and also just assigned another gun case to Greater Revelations Missionary Baptist Church in North. I think the address is 1027 12th Avenue South.
I love to see the police department working with the faith community.
Yes, sir.
And this is a great example of that.
And one thing I'd like to add is, a lot of these churches are stepping up. I'm assuming more are going to step up that want to do this. But I'd like to just, make a plea to the people watching tonight. If you are working with children, if you are working with parents, we want to get in front of those parents. We want to get in front of those caretakers because we need to push the information out. We want to make them aware of all these places and the benefits of this program. So, we want to get in front of as many folks as we can to talk about this program.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Take more calls. There's the number at the bottom of the screen right there. We'll take more calls. Be back right after this.